1. Hello. Hi. Three Musketeers. We were just saying it. The original 3. We miss everyone else. We miss everyone. But always excited to chat with you too. Lots of crazy stuff going on this week. Good stuff, fun stuff, exciting stuff. Riding too many highs and waves from some good news and working with customers and just lots of good stuff. So again, pleasure. Great to see you guys. This is office hours 26. I guess we'll get this out of the way first because we're just trying to coordinate the hand signs. There we go. Beautiful. That's a little wavy there. Yeah. We'll take it. 𝗲𝗲𝗁, Lauren, thanks so much for joining. Yeah, office hours 26. That's 26. What 52 is a full year. So we're literally, that's an entire half a year of office hours that we've been doing, and so much has changed. Vatzel and I are back in sort of London, Ontario for the weekend. Since then, the world has opened up. Toronto's alive. London's alive. It's a very heartwarming thing to see, and even going to get to see Lauren in person this weekend as well too. So very excited about that. Anything off the top that you guys are thinking before we jump into a couple topics?
No, let's go with the introductions. Like, who are you, Tara, and what do you do at 𝗕Ce?
No, what? No. You know what? We're doing some legal documentation, and it says Chief Executive Officer. And one of the lessons that I think I maybe had told you guys before was like, not lessons, but when I first started 6'5", and it was just a sole proprietorship. This guy who was much further along in business saw that I had CEO on my card as a young business owner, and he's like, "You are not a CEO until you have a board and you make over $5 million a year." And I'll never forget that. So I carry that with me, knowing that we've still got some work to do. But that is the title at 𝗕Ce. What am I really passionate about right now? We're just doing some of it, which is like visualization of language. And the meaningful, data that you can reveal, the insights that is possible from that. And I'm feeling great because we just helped one of our customers solve a problem of way too many interviews, way too much language data. And how could we give that customer the tools to manipulate through it, find the information that they needed, and present a compelling report. So those are the problems I love solving, and pleasure to be doing it with some great people here with you.
Lauren.
Oh, sure. I'm Lauren. I am the accountant and administrator, so I don't really have like a C-suite title yet. Maybe someday, but I think I still need quite a bit more schooling and a bit more experience, but who knows? Yeah, I like business. I like making sure that these guys stay in business and keep on going, keep on trucking here, fellas.
Got a beautiful mustache and goatee coming in. And you know what? You're going to the school of hard knocks right now, Lauren. I don't know where you say about this education part. This is education.
The on-field education. You get the training on-field.
Man, I'm thinking more like MBAs are usually is what C-suite level executives are inundated with. So I don't know. Maybe someday we'll do away with MBAs. Maybe they won't be necessary anymore.
Elon Musk quickly got in some trouble, right? Because he says too many MBAs are running companies. I'm not going to cause any. I don't want to cause any issue, but just it's something that he brought up, which was interesting, right? And you've seen the rise of engineer-led companies and technical-led companies and people. Yeah. So just, anyways, I shouldn't have said that. That's all. Go ahead.
All right. Tara mentioned about the C-level executive position. So we'll have one day board, which we are working in the right direction. And what do I do at 𝗕Ce? I'm mostly working as on the architecture of the product, design the product, build the product, and I put myself as a builder because I love building things in the right directions. And I'm coming from the voice IoT based technology based product I had worked upon before, and now mostly working on the machine learning and AI sector. Still want to do a lot of stuff in that direction. But there are some constraints. There's no limitations how much you can do, but there's always more to learn in that direction. And also excited about a couple of things we're going to talk in a call in this about the GPT-3, what we are doing, what we're going to do with the OpenAI, what are the possibilities, opportunities, and stuff. So that's what makes me happy and excited about every day with this amazing things to help people. And we were just doing one thing before our call, and it's like that's what makes happy about helping others. And at the same time, how do you make sure you keep running your engine? So that's sort of a balance. And yeah, I'm very excited about our discussion. So let's jump in.
All right, Vatzel, maybe, for Lauren and anyone who watches or listens to this, this GPT-3, what is it? What is OpenAI? Why yesterday when we found out that we got accepted in open beta was, especially you, Lauren, I, and Tim, like I had trouble. I had to refocus myself for the rest of the afternoon because I was just so excited for the potential. So maybe from your perspective, definitely the most technical person in this conversation, could you give us a little overview of what OpenAI and GPT-3 is? And then we can maybe talk about some of the other stuff around it.
Yep. All right. So basically the GPT-3 and OpenAI, basically OpenAI, the researchers and the engineers released their first paper about the language model AI and the data they train on that. And they released the first paper in 2018 around that. And then also they did the integrations with the Microsoft, and they introduced their own natural language generation training process with the Microsoft. And that's how they trained the largest language model ever published, which was like with the 17 billion parameters, 17.5 to 17 billion parameters. And what does it do? How does it help? That's more important. And if you see the different applications and the projects on the URL with the openai.com, and they talk about the question answer, the summarizing text with the TLDR. There's also the image GPT, which will create the images, which we talk about. And all these were trained very specifically on the different parameters. But there are two sides. The people also have the controversy related to the training data set about how much does it cost about training those data. And that's why it has its own value when they train on the 17 billion parameters that could be used in the chatbot. We see a lot of application using the copy who are using in the marketing sector. We also see the another application, the Guardian, the news article, the very, very famous news article publishers. They are also using GPT-3 to also write up their article. So I don't know how much the weightage they are giving to the OpenAI GPT-3 articles to write those things, but the application we see is emerging using the OpenAI. There's another side also is how you can integrate within your platform and how you can help your own customer in a way that basically what is the validations for the output. So that's a point to think about, is like what are the validations we are thinking about, and how and it's like this is what they do, these are the applications, and how much they charge is basically I was just looking at the pricing, and they charge on the per 4 character, they called a token. So one token exists of 4 character or 0.75 word. So let's say if you are sending 1,000 word and which has like 5,000 character, then you need to do the 5,000 character divided by 4, and that many token you used in that one API call. And the per 1,000 token they charge on the different model basis. So they trained the fastest model and they trained the most accurate model. So they have the 4 different models based on the training they did, and that's how they charge. So for the most accurate model, it's around 0.06 cent, and it goes the cost decrease based on the model accuracy. So we got the access with the GPT-3 yesterday. I think I'm sure I applied around end of the year, and I mean end of the 2020. It took around 6-7 months easily. And I mean, what are the possibilities now? Because we got the access in our application specific to Speak AI, we can create the summary from the video or also the summary from the 30 video across and give them the context around that. So that wasn't possible without having understanding about the corrupts and the words before. So this is not taking the sentence from the transcript. This is taking understanding of the context and creating its own sentence. But again, I never even send one transcription or one text. So I don't want to say anything solid about the output, the accuracy, because still need to play around that, around what is exactly going on, what happened, what are the limitations, what are the possibilities, how much text you can send in the one call, what is the response time, how long does it take, is that the managing the processing time to get the output, how you can integrate within the application, and what happen if they change the model, what happen if they change the pricing, what happen if they change the business model. So there are so many variables related to that, but it is very exciting because this is all algorithms are based on the text, and sort of the goal for them to produce human-like text. So when we say the human-like text, it has the sort of the emotions, understanding, the knowledge, and a lot of stuff. And yeah, it is very exciting to see how we can convert this opportunity into the better way and different better use cases for the users.
All right, so that opens up a whole storm of questions. First thing that jumped to my mind was, why does it take 6 months for you to get access after applying for it? Like, what's the purpose of them waiting that long to give you access?
I think so. They received also a lot of requests, and they are still into the beta. They started releasing, I think so, in June or July 2020. So there was a tons of requests. And also when you submit the application, they ask you about the purpose. It's like, what are you gonna do exactly? You know, can you satisfy us with your goal, with your purpose, with your requirements? How do you want to achieve? How much understanding do you have? What are you gonna do with this? So there are a lot of the variables which affect getting into it. So I mean, they definitely, I don't know the number, how many requests there is, but there's definitely a ton. So
And I would add, Lauren, like, so I believe I'm not wrong about this. Elon sort of famously stepped away from OpenAI because he worried about the consequences of this language generation technology that GPT-3 then enables. And so I believe they're also limiting the amount of people that can do it so that they can start to see the consequences or the use cases of how people are deploying these technologies and not allowing it to release to the mass public yet. And just quickly, because I know you have probably more other questions, but like one of the things that's already happened, I'm not sure if you've seen this workflow, Vatsil, but they're taking GPT-3 and then they're taking overdub from Descript. So overdub from Descript allows you to replicate your own voice, and then you can put text in there and then read it out, and it will read out in your own voice. And then they're giving it to 𝗕ncision, which is the application that then gives an avatar to then is an animated AR avatar that then presents it. So the idea here of Lauren is like generative AI. And now like this opens up the, you know, these crazy potentials for, you know, whether it's like deep fake technology or creating content automatically that you didn't create any of yourself originally. Like the consequences in a way of the technology are so profound that I think one of the reasons why they're limiting the amount of people is vetting who these people are who are boarding and then seeing the application of it.
Yeah, and also it's like, how do you want to use it? I'll share my screen for a second here to talk more about. So this is their beta.openai.com/examples. And you can see the possibilities, right? Chat, question, answer, summarize for a second grader, which will create more translate difficult text into the simple concept. You know, this text to command, English to French, classification.
1 second.
I don't think it's
yeah, 1 sec. We see it says started screen sharing, but can't see yet. Maybe try one more time just to see if you can pull it up. There we go. Yeah, we're good now. Beautiful.
All right. Okay. So we can see the sorry about that, beta.openai.com/example. If you go on this link, you can see the different categories. What do you want to do? Is that the classification problem you want to solve? Let's say the Twitter classification, factual answers, could be the Twitter classifier, the keyword extraction. And I like this part about, because what does this generate parallel and is the keyword from the blog of a text, and they call the temperature. I still need to study a lot about the parameters and what does that mean. And but the temperature at a high temperature, it will generate related keywords which can be useful in creating search indexes, right? So you can see the sample responses from this text. And you can see the maximum token seems like a limit about passing the token in a prompt or in a text. And this is how you can pass, and it will return the keywords which are having more understanding about what does this paragraph about. And if you see other categories, it is more about the factual answering. Could be the population of the Canada, the population of Ontario, London, Ontario, and something like so. We see a lot of things happen related to, probably you might see the videos related to the spreadsheet generator and stuff, and you can just enter into the Google Sheet and stuff or Excel that pop up the population and the mathematical equations and the complex equations automatically. So we see also with this code generator, you can write a code into the one language, and the AI will write into the another language. So, and it's like one example is the JavaScript helper chatbot and JavaScript to Python, which will convert your code JavaScript into the Python. And there's a more other application is like VR fitness idea generator. It's like interesting to see. And it's like recipe generator. I like this part. It's like just put the ingredients and might create the different recipes for you. Interview equations, you can create the different interview equations about what you just give a prompt, and this will create equations based on the prompt.
𝗍, you came in at the right time, buddy.
My spidey senses were tingling.
I haven't seen any of this yet, so this is wild. Yeah, just obviously checking out some of the sample. There's already too much here. I see the too long don't read. I see the mood. Oh man, this is wild.
Yeah, these are, Nihal, we are just talking about what is OpenAI, what is the GPT-3, how we can make it useful. And this is the link where they put all this example and what are the possibilities. You can choose the categories from here. Do you want to do the translation? Is that the question answer classification problem? Do you want to generate something, which we see with the copy and many other applications throughout that, right? TLD or summarization, converting code, analogy maker, and stuff. And one point we are talking about the pricing, and if you can see here about, so it's like, what is token? So token is a piece of words used in NLP. For example, one token is approximately 4 characters or 0.75 words. And they charge you, so let's say 900K words or 1.2 million collected from the Shakespeare. But here is the pricing. So 𝗕vency and the 𝗕, this is the fastest one.
What names?
Yeah. The cost is lower, right? Because it has the most powerful and more accurate at 0.06 cent versus this. So that's how they do the pricing, and these are the example. And I'm still need to do a lot of study under this doc part, is like, because there are different terminologies they call the temperature. So I still need to understand, and understanding of the even these 4 different models is like, what exactly, how is it differentiated from each other? And could be reading the research paper, or they publish the paper on these different models. It's like what exactly they did to get to the root of the GPT-3. Because I see there's a quote, probably I think so on Twitter, is like everyone talks about AI, but no one understands it. So I just wanted to be on the opposite bucket about how exactly things working. It's like, are we making assumptions here or not? So yeah, exciting.
Yeah,
which of those do you guys think you're going to rush for first, do you think?
I'm off mute, so I'm just like the simplest, most practical execution of Vatsil sort of touched on. One is like the summarization, because we're doing some summarization already, but we're really just taking the sentences that we're giving the most weight and then putting it into a shortened version, where this would create with a much deeper understanding of the language, a summary, even in the format that we want. Maybe we want 3 bullet points or whatever it is to represent that. And then Vatsil went beyond that and said, what about 30 videos? Or what if we synthesized all our office hours and tried to create a summary of all our office hours? I don't know what it would say. That would be hilarious.
I have another thought. There's one application which will create 1 sentence. Okay. which the whole purpose of that application is creating one sentence. So let's dump all about what is Speak AI.
Exactly.
And let's keep the
What does Speak AI do?
one sentence, a tagline, and let's put on
you know what?
the
You know what it's going to say? It's going to say Speak AI helps organizations capture, analyze, and share
analyze and
media.
share.
Oh man, Nihal, I know, you know, this has been. I mean, we were talking about this before, and like we were just like, we're never going to get access to this thing. So first of all, OpenAI, give all of us access because that's the only one right now. So we all want to play. But I guess Nihal, any thoughts from you around this before we can jump into it too deeply?
No, I mean, it's obviously super exciting to get access to such powerful tech. And, you know, I was saying it almost makes me jealous that I'm not necessarily a builder, right? Like it makes me want to build. But that's a skill that I'm working on. But in terms of applications and, you know, what it means for Speak and kind of how we can move closer to our now what's, right? Like how do we create value from synthesizing your data? I think that's going to be a huge boon for us. We're already seeing, you know, like we've talked about this before, but even just from very simple use cases or well, complex use cases that there's no existing solution for, we're maybe, you know, 60 to 70% of the way there, but we're kind of missing that refinement that we need to truly kind of compete, or kind of carve our own path, not even compete, right? Because I think one thing we talked about, for instance, was there's software right now that takes, let's say, one type of media, generates transcripts for it and stores it for you in a database, right? But there's no software out there, or at least none that we've come across, that really helps you synthesize data across various media, across various types of content. So kind of the things we can do with this to achieve those end goals will be nice. And I mean, just as a marketer, someone that likes writing and games and stuff, like I was playing around with the AI dungeon. I think that's what it's called. I don't know if you guys have ever tried that out, but it's pretty interesting. It's like fascinating. Like I think it might be open source. I'm not sure, but it's basically a procedurally generated text-based RPG. So basically it's like Dungeons and Dragons, but basically it creates a whole new world. And like each time you play through, there's a bunch of new characters, like you know, maybe a different skill set, different move set. And I mean, obviously all text-based, but it's interesting what can be done even just from like the creative and like creator side, right? So yeah, I mean, excited to get access to that dashboard. And I'm not sure, Vatso, if you know, like for the dashboard, is it like a is it user friendly, or does it require is there a UI? Like, is there a basic UI?
It's pretty very user friendly. So they call
Okay.
it the playground.
Yeah.
So the playground, they give you the drop down and you can choose what do you want to do. And there's like, I think 6 to 7 applications you can play around. And it's pretty straightforward. Let's say the sentiment analysis, Twitter sentiment, identify the food, or basically name entity recognition. So there's very static sort of options you can do. And you just need to pass the text and you will see the output below. So consider a drop down, a box with the input box, and the third is the output response area. So that's how you can use it.
Because I guess for me, one thing that I'm wondering as, you know, someone that doesn't have particularly strong technical skills, it's how, from what little you've seen and like maybe just things you've read over time, let's say someone's using like, you know, like a no code or low code platform. What are their possibilities with something like OpenAI? Like, is it easy to integrate into something like that, or do you kind of need to build something that kind of just uses OpenAI as a I guess like an underlying tech?
I think so. What they did is like they created the examples to make it easier to understand for the non-technical people, and they created a very CTA single button called the playground. So once you click on that, I'm not sure that's a good idea to share my screen and show you the playground over this call, but probably after a call, we can go over all of us. And so basically the playground helps you to the expected outcome you will receive. But when you want to integrate in the, let's say the no code applications, you still need to do a few things, let's say the API integrations, because the whole thing works using the API. So you need to do the API integrations, the authentication to access the APIs, and call an API to Twitter sentiment, TLDR summarizations, question answer, chatbot, and stuff. So, and what they give when they give you the access, they give you the US $18 credit, and you need to use in 3 months. So, and again, we talk about the pricing, how they calculate, and even when you run, when you run the playground, they also consider as a cost. So it's still, so you need to also, when you also need to be careful when you run the playground. It's like, if you know that this is really helpful, it makes sense. But let's say if this is not the use case, or maybe you're thinking in that direction, then it's like there's no point to run every examples in a playground. So you can play around more where you want to go in which directions. But again, it's like you always can add your credit card, pay for that. It's very straightforward. So yeah.
That's exciting.
I guess so. In that UI, Vatzel, is it like basically like and it's basically what even the text editor part of Speak is, where it's just like text input, hit analyze, and then present results, right?
Yes,
so yeah,
exactly.
so it's very simple.
So sort of a drop down I can read. It's like, one is the chat, question answer, the grammatical standard English, which will correct the English sentence, the English to French, and you can load the more example. We saw the example UI, right, where basically, let me know if I'm sharing the right screen here.
Good. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So let's say this one, and you can just open up in a playground, and that will redirect you in a playground, which you can just enter the prompt, and this sort of you will see the response at the end. So that's sort of an idea about the
Wow.
playing around the examples and see how does that work. Does that make sense and stuff?
Summarize for a second grader. That was the title of that one.
Second grader.
Like one of the things that I always learned, from a writing perspective, is that the average, when you're creating blog content, is like the average reader, North America is like grade 8 reading comprehension level. So when you're, like such a powerful even concept of how can I dump all this jargon that I speak and just communicate it in a way that's and they're obviously doing reading comprehension analysis. And I mean, the main platforms that we've seen most people interacting with today are sort of basically UI slapped on top of APIs that are, interacting. We've also seen crazy use cases of this, like GitHub Copilot, which are insane. And then Michal, what you were sort of saying too is like content, or not even content, but like I believe now that animation, like video, like it's like being used in like film production or screenwriting. And also like game writing and conversation. And just like, this is a crazy story. Maybe I don't know if I've ever told this on the office hours. It's just quick, but like our company's named 𝗵𝗵𝗄. At one point there was another 𝗵𝗵𝗄, now rebranded as the company Semantic. And one day someone thought that we were Semantic and sent us a message, I'm not going to say who, but we're basically they were asking for 6,000 or so different voices that they could use in their video game. And Semantic is the opposite of us. It's instead of speech to text, it's text to speech, synthesizing voices. So if you think of the possibilities of not needing to hire voice actors and then using something like GPT-3 to produce many, many storylines, infinite storylines that are possible based on the decisions you make, and then generating those storylines of characters through automated voices that sound realistic as a human, just mind-blowing. Like it really is a new era of technology and how we interface with technology. It's pretty crazy times that we're seeing right now.
Yep, absolutely. And once we do more, once we make our hands dirty in this direction, well, there is definitely going to be more things to share on also the technical end, something more concrete about how are we planning to use, or maybe what are we doing and what are the plans. So yeah, it's exciting.
Like that you said, like, basically 𝗕𝗏𝗙𝗲, if you're just playing around with it, it's going to cost us money, so don't. But it's like, if I get access to that and I'm bored on a Friday night at
I never said that.
I mean, you can just like I'll just pay for it if I go over.
Oh, man. It's more about because you also want to see the different text, right? You don't want to just run the different application. You want to go deeper. It's like not horizontal. In this case, it's like vertical. It's like, okay, let me try 10 different samples, save the outputs and see what does this mean. It's like how we can make it more impactful. So that's it. It was the direction actually.
Lauren, do you have any outstanding questions on this? I know we sort of got veered off and then sorry.
So again, you also can do the, Lauren, you also can do the projection. Maybe that could be the one application you want to try. Put the numbers in the spreadsheet and see how things looks like with the different variables.
Yeah, maybe. I'll see if that's doable with the model I got set up. I got lots of questions, but I don't want to take up the whole office hours with it. I just have one question as far as the pricing, since we're kind of talking about it anyways. So it's charging you like 6 to 1 cent per 4 characters. Is it charging you based on the amount of characters you feed into the algorithm, or is it priced based on how many characters are outputted afterwards?
So how many characters you send in an input. So one token is equal to 4 characters or 0.75 words, and they charge per 1,000 token.
So, yeah. So what you'll see is like, sorry, like
so like 6 to 1 cent for 4,000 characters, essentially. Yeah.
Yes, that is correct.
Because you look at like all these, like basically all the copy AI and like GPT-3 tools, and they basically just pass that cost on to the customer. Like it'll be like you can buy 10,000 tokens, which I guess it was what, like 100,000 words, something like that.
Right? From copy AI? No,
like I forget the token, like how much is a word per token, but basically let's say it's 0.0006 cents per token. Like that's
a per 1,000 token.
Yeah, per 1,000 tokens, they basically charge you like some inflated number. Yeah. I mean, we'll do the same too, right? But we'll just undercut.
That is still not that crazy, to be honest. It is more about what use cases or what you build fulfilling here. Yeah. It's like, then once we reach that stage, even for the customer, the pricing doesn't matter because they are getting way more value than it's like 6 cents.
Lauren, we've only got one other topic, I think, here today. So do you have any other questions that are outstanding while we're in this GPT-3 wave?
I did. I just have to remember them. So just give me a minute.
Yeah, and I mean some of the plans that we saw that Nihal and I were looking at before we even had access it, and it was just like some of them are pricing it pretty reasonably, and others are just outrageously expensive for it. But and then I was just saying to 𝗏𝗏𝗁 last night, like we still haven't played around with it very much, but there's a bunch of, maybe you've seen them too, Anil, but just like pretty talented marketers who've done a lot of copywriting, just like putting stuff in and testing and saying like, and then reviewing the response and being sort of surprised at how deep the language understanding is. And, I think that's a reach, but people are saying this is sort of the closest to like AGI that we're ever have gotten. And maybe you can debate that of what is the definition of AGI, artificial general intelligence, of like, is it truly understanding, or is it just good enough language understanding that it can sort of pass the sort of Turing test or seem like it understands? But we're also seeing competitive models or systems come out from China, and also Google has their own system that actually, I believe, has more parameters than OpenAI. So this is a huge, competitive space that is going to continue to emerge. And then there was even just an open source one that came out as well. So it's very interesting, the entire thing.
I know one thing that people are questioning or wondering, just in terms of like, so all these GPT-3 sites, for instance, claim originality, right? Like they claim, oh yeah, like everything we output will be 100% original. We have like plagiarism checks in place. But for instance, just from my initial experiments with some of these tools, what it seems to be doing, for instance, is like some of these marketing tools, they basically find, let's say you look up transcription, right? They will find other sites that write about or talk about transcription and basically grab sentences and topic structures from there and then kind of just mishmash them and then give you something that resembles originality, but might not be, like you read it and you're like, I feel like I've read this somewhere before, right? And obviously you can only really phrase sentences so many different ways.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting question to face when that time comes. And I know another thing too is like with Google, like from a search perspective, if every marketer out there starts using GPT-3, will it just over time just turn into truly providing value, or will GPT-3 somehow game the Google algorithm for a little bit, right? Like a year or 2 years until they like fix things, right? So it's interesting. It's a good brainstorming buddy. That is for sure. But I don't know if it's quite at the level where you deploy it, unless you're doing like drop shipping or something and you don't really care about your quality.
But in those cases, that's why you need your own unique content, right? That's why you need your own recordings, your own meetings, and that's always with respect to the time, it's always unique. So what's going to happen in this call, it's never going to happen the same way, same context, same energy. So it's always unique with respect to the time. So but if you take the idea generation example or any other thing, that could be very high probability in terms of, could be the similar you might find in 5 years. Like, I read the exact same idea is like 3 years ago from this application, something like so. So idea generation is one thing, and other couple of things is like tagline generation. We see a lot of application around that, and it's one API call. You pass one text, and it will create a tagline for you. So it also depends on the words and stuff, but the content should be unique with respect to time.
Lauren, did we lose? How are you doing?
Oh, it's all good. I remember. I wanted to ask, it seemed like you had to go through some sort of ethics review in order to use this sort of technology. I was just curious what 𝗲𝗲𝗫 said, to be honest.
They have the whole that's a one part, but they have the whole safety guidelines which you need to follow if you want to put out in the world. So there's a 6-step process to get approval to release your application, and that doesn't looks like straightforward. You need to go through many different ways. You need to submit your application, what you're going to do, how are you doing, probably some examples. That's what I believe. So, and if they found that this is already built, that's the tagline generation, YouTube description generation, they already released that application using GPT-3, they are very much aware about that. It doesn't make sense to approve you guys who are doing the same thing. Tagline generation, one-liner generation, or something like so. So the use case or the request to get the approval should be the unique within the product. Otherwise, you can, yes, obviously you can play around in their own playground, but if you want to put in a market, you gotta go through the safety guideline, follow the instructions, and get approval. So I'm very sure they have the committee who gets the approval coming from these different sectors with the mindset and having understanding about the opportunities, but at the same time, the problems using the AI.
I think we have the perfect size, which was like, you can't deploy this beyond 5 people. So there's, lots of things. I just 2 things quickly of what like 𝗲𝗏 said around this. Like exactly, if people are generating content, because there are ones that are already converting blog articles, like I'm just wondering how Google or search engines are they now building their own models to detect sentences that have been written by GPT-3, right? Like there's now systems in place that are basically trying to understand if a video has been created as a deep fake. Is that the same application going to happen within text? Because great that you've created unique content, but how do you prioritize unique content that's well written? Do you how do you prioritize a person over a machine? Do you prioritize that? And again, the consequences of this. And then just one last part, which is like one of the things we've talked about for a long time. It's always been like the visualization and data or like analytics from it. But one of the things we were always sort of talking about that layer of like, unstructured data, and then there's sort of like analytics, and then there's like the last part, sort of like insights, and then hopefully the breakthrough part. And in that insights and breakthrough part, I always would go to that example that like Google Analytics started to introduce, which was like, obviously there was analytics, but then you would start to get these summary sentences on the side that would just be like a 1-sentence summarization of everything that had happened that month, and it was sort of pre-purposed, pre-templated, pre-ready for you, and Google already knew it was valuable for you. So I'm just wondering about, the capacity of this to take our, spread across the system and help us get down to these, like one word, like as Vasu said, like 1-sentence insight that comes out really powerfully. So like if you put all the office hours in, would it just be like a bunch of nerds talking about their company? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how it would represent the speak office hours or whatever, but like there's some really interesting potential that could come from that. So got 10 minutes left. Vasu, go ahead. You got one hand. Oh, he's got his finger up. Oh, here we go.
Okay, so this is the going live, the steps which I talk about, like 6-step process. And you need to go to the reviewer, like use case guidelines, the safety best practice, and this is the pre-launch review request you need to submit to get the approval. But I'm sorry, I just need to jump on in this thing because I find something very interesting here about the marketing, and when we were talking about the generations, the Facebook ads, Google ads, and stuff. So these are the across these use cases. Please make a note of, they have the input and output token limit. How many minutes you can request to generate this token. You can see the 12 generation per minute, 180 per hour, 3 generation per action. But when you want to deploy across 1 million account, they are going to 1 million requests per minute. Consider that 1 million users are active in that time moment. And they have the limitations about generate copies, things like Facebook landing page, slogan, headlines, email marketing and stuff. And this is very specific to the Google ads, Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, and it's like human must be in the loop on all generation, and as also the rule of other copywriting feature, manually review each output and choose to use it, right? So very interesting to see. And it's like maximum user input text limit must be not greater than 100 characters across all input boxes. So when you want to create an ads, it always comes with the limitation, right? The slogans, the product description, the headlines, 50 token maximum output. And does that fulfill the purpose with this email marketing and the stuff with the requirement library with the SEO thing? 9 generation per minute. So it's like, how do you handle? Yes, you do handle with the small team, with the small user base, but when it goes above 50,000, 100K, then how you can handle like only 9 generation per minute throughout your applications, like article writing and editing, and it's like all even the social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, chatbot. It's like interesting to see the use case guideline, which we need to make sure we follow that. And this is the last, is like, what are the practices you need to make sure keep you in the loop? And yeah, so this is very interesting. I didn't see, to be honest, I'm looking at this also the first time, the requirement library, but just, yeah, it's like even the copywriting stuff, you cannot create your own playground using our own key and tool. If we see that, we will revoke your production API key, they mentioned somewhere on top.
Woo.
So yeah, I'll stop sharing my screen.
I think, I mean, it's 12:53. I don't even, do you want to bring us to the topic? Do we leave this to another conversation? How are you feeling? That was, I didn't expect that to go for that long, but I mean, there's so much to talk about and think about with that. How are you?
It's a very interesting conversation. I mean, we can utilize another 5-6 minutes over this one, and it's like,
yeah, let's do it.
Conclude a call, and then we can hop on another topic in the next call.
Okay. Okay. I personally have nothing else to say, because the other part was like a whole nother topic, which is an important one, which is just talking to customers and some of the success that Vasil's had in the email of that. So Vasil, you want to wait for that and do that another time, or you want to?
Yeah, let's wait for that. I have a question for Nihal to see if we can cover in 5 minutes about you're working on putting the tools and examples on the website. So what is that idea about when someone is listening to you? Is like, what does that mean to them, and it's like how they can access on the website and how it's going to help the first time users who come to the website. It's like what is you're working on?
Right. So this was a nice initiative that we discussed during our quarterly meeting, kind of a marketing and engineering initiative where we're trying to use engineering as marketing in a way, and generate useful tools for our website that help users not only get a sense for what they can get using our platform, but also just showcasing tools that they can use for free too, like a very limited use case, but still for free, on our pages, on our website once these launch. And the idea behind this and the inspiration behind it was just the fact that we're a generation raised on freemium products and free apps. And I think even if there's initiatives you run that don't generate direct ROI, if you help people learn something or solve a specific problem or even just experience something, they're more likely to at least give you a bit more percentage of their attention and potentially sign up for a plan, sign up for a free app. And even beyond that, just, you've taught them something that they might not have had the chance to explore before. And so with these tools, we're probably going to launch to start with just something based off our text analysis and text editors. So, end users will be able to just play around with like name density recognition. So just finding words and topics found within whatever text they choose to import. We'll have sentiment analysis available as well, which, they'll be able to gauge the sentiment from their text. And the other one we'll also be getting up will be the word cloud generator, which, once again, very simple, specific use case, but I think people can have fun just playing around with that, dump their presentation into that and have a word cloud they can use.
So is that the overall word cloud generation for the users, or is that going to be the word cloud by categories? How they're gonna see that?
I think, from my understanding, I believe overall, right, Tyler? So overall word cloud, from whatever they put in the text box, and then kind of over time making our visualizations prettier and nicer to look. Already just with a simple font change, they already improved. Yeah, like it looks great.
Yeah.
So I just think it's going to be a fun little experience that we can share with existing supporters, new people, and hopefully just bringing people in to like play around with it, right? Like, there's so much interesting stuff that can come out of, and unique insights that you can get from even just analyzing how you type, right? Sure, it might be for more of the data junkies among us, but people love Grammarly, right? So it's like, obviously, once again, very specific use case, but I do think there is power in just showcasing your product, even if it's just one fraction of it. So it'll be exciting to launch those and kind of just see the performance on that. And being the selfish marketer that I am, I just want people to come to our site. So
yeah, that's wonderful. And it's like we have amazing developer 𝗕ecie, who didn't join the call, probably working on a few important things here. But he had a big role building this tool. So yeah, that is wonderful.
Yeah, it's been great kind of having like pseudo design sessions with Tim for this. It expands my understanding of like product and what we're building as well, which is great.
Beautiful.
Yeah, he didn't get sad when we made fun of his word cloud, and he made improved it and made it better. And just also sometimes depending on your role, you don't see the final, sometimes all the final output of it. So we're talking about like, oh, like, okay, great, the word cloud, okay, now we've made it better with fonts, but now how can we make it so that it works on Instagram stories, it works on Facebook posts, it works on LinkedIn, like by doing that, inherently you're saving time and producing value for people. So that's exciting to start to be thinking in that sort of final output final output process. And then, as 𝗲𝗏 said, selfish marketer, selfish business owner. It's not selfish. You just want people to actually have exposure to these tools, which are amazing. And it's like, the longer people come to these pages, spend on those pages playing around with this, if they keep returning to use these pages, it's a good thing for us, and excited to launch this experiment and do some stuff. So coming up at the end of July here, you know, things, it's still crazy to think that, but a lot of great things are going on right now. And, you know, I really enjoyed the discussions with the team. This was a ton of fun. I'm going to, have to settle myself down over the weekend, and hopefully I can, you know, come back with the focus intent. But, you know, this was a great session here today. I guess anything before we close this out?
No, this was exciting, and stay tuned for more discussion in the future about GPT-3 and how 𝗕CI going to integrate OpenAI and the GPT-3 possibilities. So we'll talk more about in the future office hours.
Lauren, how about you? You're off mute. You good?
I'm all good. Yeah, it's
Okay.
exciting.
Okay. All right, Lauren, I'll see you Sunday, sir. So excited. It's going to be a ton of fun. 𝗲𝗏, good talk yesterday. Look forward to chatting again soon. Let me know if you guys need anything over the afternoon. And thanks to everyone who tuned in and watched this. And if you have any questions around anything we're doing, GPT-3 related or not, you know, language analysis, visualization, all the fun stuff, let us know. Thanks again for joining and for all the support.
Right. Thank you.